I will be reading to you from Chapter 2, Section 2. And in this part, we'll be discussing some of the things that are still happening about your chores, about music, support, how to reach out, having to fake it, and having to be patient, and the cancelling ability. Allow yourself to have some chore-free days or even weeks. Grief is a hard and relentless process which exhausts even the strongest person. Stepping back from the chores releases you from the constant amount of things to do. Perhaps you can leave the vacuuming and dusting till next week or close the door on that messy room. Giving yourself a break might have an unusual outcome. I found that after a time out, I seemed to gather more momentum and was able to do much more cleaning afterwards. It was a welcome positive from the break. You may also decide to have a complete break from the chores and either ask another person to do them or pay someone to do them. This allows you to rest or concentrate on more pressing matters. My heart and my mind felt in chaos, and often so did my house. I would look at the build-up and not have the energy to tidy up. Letting myself leave it all and not feel guilty gave me time to recover. Instead of working on chores for hours, I just broke them into smaller sections and did 1 or 2 chores each day. Then, when I had my days off, there was much less to finish. The chores will always be there. However, you are more important. Nothing is more important than surviving the onslaught of issues that loss brings to the fore. Be kind to yourself and simply be lazy on some days. While you are in your emotional chaos, life goes on, the chores will build up and the mess increases. Getting a meal on the table becomes insurmountable and hanging out washing becomes an effort. Be kind and gentle to yourself. You are out of your depth emotionally. Even though a trip to the shop becomes the event for the day, you may come home without the crucial items or be exhausted. Your mind will be a fog. If it helps, buy food online and have it delivered when going out is impossible. List the chores and only do the necessary ones. I made a list, put it on the fridge. Every day I thought about what needed to be done and I used my energy for that. Sometimes it meant taking out a frozen meal or watering a few plants. Get an outside person to take some of the load, even if it's only for a few weeks or months. My kindly next door neighbour mowed my front lawn and I really appreciated it. Loss knocks you off your feet. The high emotional toll plus lack of sleep and total lifestyle upheaval makes you unable to perform as before. Your mental health and your emotional health is paramount and it is more important than having a tidy and well-planned menu for the week. See each activity in small terms. I actually worked out how long certain activities took. I timed them. The washing up usually takes 10 to 15 minutes, and then your kitchen seems tidy. Some of the other jobs I timed as well. The vacuuming, for example. Instead of doing a long run of chores, you might do them at night or in the early morning. It may be strange to be washing floors at midnight, but while you are awake, it is a useful time to do it. Mindless tasks are quite healing because for a while you don't have to think. It's a time out from your woes. Eventually you master this area and life returns to some kind of normalness. However, be aware it might take weeks, months, and even years to heal. Be kind and not punishing about dirty dishes in the sink or another takeaway meal. Your life has changed dramatically and taking good care of yourself is more important than maintaining the status quo. I used music like medicine during my loss and played sad songs, angry songs, and soul songs. Music is a powerful form of healing. When I was terribly upset, I played the same song on repeat. Somehow the music calmed me down. Often I played it loudly and sang along. Grief is a private experience, and everyone has their memorable pieces of music. And music is a powerful trigger in loss. There were our songs, which made me cry as I heard them. I remember when we danced or listened to them. The music you shared is harder to hear at the beginning. Music is a visual memory box of our lives. Old memories are rekindled as you play certain music. Be ready to face the emotions that may surface. On the vulnerable days, I used music because it resonated with how I was feeling. However, on the vulnerable days, I also avoided the music for the same reason. Music affects our heart and expresses what we have no words to express. On the difficult days, I use calming music like 423 Hertz or Tibetan bells. It settled my heart. This music might be useful on days when you awake with anxiety or nausea. There is a difference between support and dependency during grief. They are both valuable to you. Support comes as physical, emotional, mental. Your support group will help you through the process. Some will be there every day, while others come and go. Either way, they are the reason you survive this ordeal. Dependency is necessary in the beginning. Do not worry that you are depending too much on others. Let everyone help you and meet your needs. So much is happening and you are incapable of acting normally. Others can help you maneuver through the process. When I was sleeping every night at the hospital during a critical phase, I became disoriented. The shock of the diagnosis and lack of sleep made me a zombie. I thought I was doing well, but my family became worried about me. At that stage, I listened to their advice and depended on them. They drove the car, organised my meals, and brought me home each day to rest for a few hours. They mothered me, and I was totally dependent on them. As I moved through the weeks, the dependency continued, but after his passing, the dependency morphed into support. I became more able to function and did not need the same level of care. Even through loss, aim to be self-reliant. It strengthens you. When you need help, ask, but work towards independence. Reaching out is hard. You are swamped with emotions and trying to find balance, and sometimes making contact seems insurmountable. The best scenario I found was when someone contacted me. Often the phone would ring or a well-timed text would appear. Then I had a reason to reach back. Although I was messy, simply being in the presence of another person eased it. Grief is consuming and not wanting to burden others is a big factor. No one wants to show up looking like a total write-off. So on the bad days, I used texting. It soothed me to have this as an interface. I could cry while I was texting, and it was easier than crying out loud in their presence. Even the phone might insulate you to a degree. Never feel bad about being unable to reach out. On the days when you sob for hours on end, reaching out is another pressure. Returning a text explaining that you are having a meltdown and unable to chat is a good idea. The grief is unpredictable and often there is a build-up quality to it. Days pass and you seem better, only to find yourself emotionally incapable for the next few days. For me, healing came from being alone sometimes. Friends and family want to give support, but you may have to explain that leaving you to be is support. During your journey, others are dealing with their issues, and as much as the grief is overwhelming you, there are other people to consider. Being on this emotional roller coaster may make you a little bit self-absorbed. Remember to ask about their lives and not focus solely on your trials and tribulations. Speak honestly about your life and then turn the conversation to them. Preface it with saying that we have talked about me now, so what is happening with you? Relationships have to be two-way to be healthy. Faking it. We can all fake it with others. All the social niceties allow us to put on the necessary mask, and this mask has positive and negative aspects. On a positive note, you wear the mask when necessary. Out in the world, wearing your heart on your sleeve is not always well received. When you cry in the supermarket, the people around are not comfortable, and neither are you. But sometimes your mask falls off. It happens. We wear a mask for two reasons: our environment and the people we are with. Some places do not lend themselves to real expression. However, hospitals and airports are full of crying people when no one seems to mind. I cried in hospital corridors as Ray was dying in the next room. As visitors and staff walked past me, there was an unspoken understanding. Likewise, tears flow copiously at the departure and arrival lounges at the airport. But sobbing on the bus or while being served does become problematic. People find it embarrassing. The other situation relates to the company you are in. Some family and friends ride it out when you dissolve. They are okay with your emotions. However, those who tend to find emotions difficult to deal with are dreadfully ill at ease. Once you realize this, you learn to fake it. They ask how you are, and you give them the fake answer. I usually say, okay. Okay says nothing and frees them from having to engage. Fine means you are coping well, whereas I think okay always has a touch of pain in it and says that you're not quite right. Sometimes faking it requires you to say nothing. Although faking is a strategy to cope, it has a disingenuous quality to it. Unless you have walked the path, you never truly know how it feels, but more importantly, how to respond. As I look back on my younger years, I lacked the understanding and responded inappropriately. You need to now forgive others for this ignorance. Not having to experience loss is a gift for them that you don't have. Sometimes you need to be patient. Recovery is slow and painful, so practice patience. I thought I would be through it much more quickly than I was. I was actually quite surprised how long it took and how long it is still taking. Nothing is permanent, but during the grief, the pain of loss seemed never ending. Practice patience. I wanted the pain and the unbearable daily suffering to go away. I struggled being patient and kept begging it to end. But the effects of loss cannot be taken away quickly. You want your old life back, you want to stop the misery, you want to run through it and find your happy place. On a level, I knew it would get better and the pain lessen. However, that was not how it felt every day. Although you are struggling, your capacity to heal does become stronger. As the time passes, you come to accept your new life. Comparing your progress to others is useless. The variables are great, and the different kinds of endings make a big difference. Some individuals never find their peace, while others pass through quite quickly. There is no gauge that is right. There is a gauge which suggests 2 years, but you might find it takes less or more. The more you let go of the negative emotions and realize that you are on your own, the sooner the healing. Waiting for your time to come is difficult. Remember, you are a work in progress. How much progress you make is less important than your intention to heal, however long it takes. The cancelling ability. During the grieving process, I used the cancellation policy. You can make arrangements with the proviso that on a bad day you may cancel. Loss is an up and down thing, and it takes you by surprise. When you have been a reliable person, not being able to function means the old routines need to be altered. I told my family and friends about my cancellation policy, and when I began to work, I informed my clients that I may cancel. Making a cancelling policy is preventative healing. Grief changed me. I was unable to cope like before, and I never knew when the difficult days were coming. But having an escape plan allowed me to arrange times with others while ensuring I kept myself safe. Broken sleep or those nights of no sleep were unpredictable, as were the days of tears. Unless you have been through loss, you do not fully comprehend its impact. Your coping resources are compromised, and when the passing took months or years, you are already exhausted. By telling people you might cancel gives them a reality check. The grief does not only go on for a few months after the death, it keeps going on for you. Everyone else is getting on with their lives while you are facing your new reality on a daily level. The cancelling policy made others aware of my continued fragility. Yes, I might be better and see more heal, but underneath I still had a lot of things going on. It is as if the grief is submerged but ever present. I rarely cancelled, but it gave me peace of mind to have the choice. It made me more aware of myself, and by doing so, I had to check in with how I was feeling. Sometimes, as the event was looming ahead, I had a feeling about going or not going and would cancel earlier. Other times, I thought I could not go, but was fine on the day. You need to be constantly in touch with your emotional and mental state to make good decisions. Remember, cancelling is not bailing out, it's taking good care of yourself.